Hey, welcome to the Hearthstone half hour. I'm Hammy, this is Falcraftcast. Hope you're well and good, and we are doing a look on our new Player Monday into Havoc's kind of shade weapon or tempo rogue. It's February 2015 at the moment. This deck is doing the rounds, it's quite popular, it's got a few different variants. We are looking like we're going to be taking a look at the Havoc version. It's been a legend or a part of legend. We're looking at the Violet Teacher Edition, important because there are different ways that this deck can work and run itself around. So let's go into it in a bit more detail. Rogues. Rogues have been a little bit on the quiet side since the slight nerf to Gadgets and Auctioneer, going from 5 mana to 6 mana, meaning that it was a little bit harder to create the miracle that Miracle Rogues roll. So Miracle Rogue threw down lots of cheap spells, which rogues have. After the Gadgets and Auctioneer, draw loads of cards, and then you created your win condition, and that was generally Leroy Jenkins, which also got a bit of a nerf. Plus let me remember the name of the card. I believe it was Cold Blood. There you go. Give minion 2, but if you combo, give it a +4. So that was your deadly mega combo. And then if you shadow stepped, then you could Leroy, Cold Bloods for, well, it was 14 damage, couldn't you? And then shadow step and then throw down Leroy. That was your big 16, 14, 20 damage, your big combo. That was your win. So what this rogue does is a bit different. Let's look at the mana curve, and you can see that Havoc with this rogueness, and indeed a lot of people on the ladder at the moment, are going for more of a control-y style rogue in the early game. You can see 9 spells. Not only are we a rogue, we've got a lot of cheaper spells. But you've got so much of this deck between 0 and 4 or 5 mana, even between 0 and 4 mana cost. So you're doing a lot of shuffling, a lot of playing in the early game. And the reason for that is to keep yourself alive, keep yourself in the game. There's a lot of rush out there. Mechs at the moment. Of course, Goblins and Gnomes, and the Mech Mage, and the Mech Shaman, and the Mech Warrior, and you name it, Mech's got it. Very, very popular at this point in time. So this deck needs to deal with early game threats, it needs to really control any early game threats, and then against late game decks like the Control Warrior, it needs to have enough damage to punch its way through. So it's trying to keep the early game under control, but then punch hard in the mid to late game to make sure it can win before any other deck dominates it with bigger, badder, more scary stuff. So how does it do this? Well, rogue-wise, it's got all of the usual tricks in the early game. Prep. You want to be using prep to make your spells cost a bit less. It lets you set up combos, but you make sure that you're really using prep to set yourself up for removal, and it can also let you gain tempo. Sap and backstab. Sap, returning stuff to hand, forcing your enemy to play a big minion again, very effective for 2 mana. Backstab, great against the early game minion sets and rushes, such as anything Zooey, anything Huntery, anything Mech Magey, that 2 damage, and potentially 3 if you manage to get Blood Mage Thanos on the table for spell 1, damage +1, or even an Azure Drake later in the game. It'll give you some nice table controllability. So many rogues kicking around, good to know this deck. That is your early game. Deadly Poison we'll talk about with Blade Flurry, we'll talk about actually with Tinker Sharpsword Oil, so we'll come on to those in a second. If you really need to, you can use these cards in the early game to control the table, but ideally you can stay alive by other means and then use them to devastating effect later on. Eviscerate, very often used as damage to the face. In this deck you can use it as damage to face if you have that luxury, but you're probably using this for control. If you need to prep into an Eviscerate, then you will do so. That is an expensive removal option, but it will help abundantly. Saps, we've discussed. Shivs for card draw, with the additional spell damage as well that you've got in this deck that can be used for dealing with aggressive early game decks as well. The Blood Mage provides that spell damage and also a bit of extra card draw. You need to be milling your deck, well, not milling, you're not discarding, but you need to be drawing through your deck and playing this pretty quickly. So if you get stuck with various cards that you don't want, you need to be drawing more as quickly as you can be. Fan of Knives gives you that card draw. Goblin Auto Barber. Not only does this is a great drop in the early game against aggro, but giving your weapon 1 attack if you summon one already means that your 1 attack 2 durability rogue weapon is now 2 attack 2 durability. And that means again you've got more swing against those little minions that may be trying to swarm you to death. So very, very awesome indeed. The Farseer drops. It's a trading card for trading stuff off the table with in terms of minion swaps, and it gives you that health back. And the heal boss is worth discussing in the same breath because it does exactly the same, just a lot more health. You're going to, as this rogue, be swinging in and doing a lot of damage with your hero. You're going to be using your weapon, even if it's doing one attack to the enemy hero, even if it's doing the odd one chip damage so you can finish off a bigger minion. You need to be using your rogue and swinging your hero, doing damage with your weapons, even if they're not buffed up. So your health, to get health back, as it's been very eloquently put in the Twitch chat, very useful indeed. So 2 healing options, and secondarily 2 ways of trading minions, very useful. Shade of Naxxramas, this is your win condition against controller late game decks. When you get it, you throw it down, and you're not trying to make big trades with this in the early game unless you're really desperate. You want this to grow and grow and grow and be stealthed, and make sure that it's not going to be nuked off the table too soon, and that you can swing in for an obscene amount of damage with it, ideally in the late game. So that is your Shade of Naxxramas. Throw it down, hopefully it lives, hopefully it doesn't get consecrated, extreme warrior, mega whirlwinded, or anything in the early game that can do 2 damage to get rid of it when it goes down on turn 3. 2 SI7 agents, the perennial rogue combo card. Play another card, and then play this. You can do the 2, so not only can it remove or weaken a smaller minion, but then it's a 3/3 body that will then trade something off the table as well, hopefully do some damage too. Now, why you want to try and have some of these smallish to midish minions sticking to the table with this deck is because of this card. Now, I fully admit in many analyses and things I've said, oh, this is so situational, when are you going to use this? Well, this is when you're going to use this. This is deck goodness in terms of this particular deck and using weapons rogues. Now, there are versions of this deck going around at the moment that actually have Assassin's Blade in. They go for a more weapons minion based approach. They don't go for the mill, the token generation, sorry, of a Violet Teacher, and they go for the Assassin's Blade. Why? It becomes very apparent when you have a good look at Tinker's Sharpsword. So give your weapon +3. Combo, give a random enemy minion +3. Random friendly minion +3. So I buff one of my minions +3 attack. My standard rogue weapon, remember, is 1 attack, 2 durability. If I buff my weapon to being 4 attack, if I then throw down a deadly poison, that makes it 7 attack. I can attack for 7 to my opponent's face. I can then blade flurry, and then that will do another 7 not only to my opponent's face, but also to all of my opponent's minions. That will devastate the table and do a lot of removal. There's not much that can withstand 7 damage across the entire table. You can pretty much clear your opponent's table in one foul swoop, unless there are some really big and nasty things there. So this is your win condition combination. You want to be tinkersing into ideally a deadly poisoned weapon and have a blade flurry in hand. So weapon plus buff plus another weapon buff plus attack destroy weapon. That is, 14, let's do the maths, 14 damage. Yeah, that feels good. And then this is where your stealthy Shade of Naxxramas comes into play. If you have that down on the table, it's always going to make sure that Tinker's Sharpsword Oil, that combo, sticks to something. So you stick down the Tinkers, and then your Shade of Nax gets an additional 3 attack, even if you have another minion on the table who's unstealthed and benefits from that 3 attack. And then you're looking at your win combo right there. That is where you can really swing in with this deck. If you've done 14 on one turn and you have a minion with 3 attack that has reasonably good health and sticking power, then your opponent is staring defeat in the face. So survive, ideally, until you can put that combo into play. What else helps us get to that point? Our late game isn't huge here. We've discussed the Healbot already. The Azure Drake is a great bridge if we need something that's going to make some trades. It gives us the spell damage. That means we can reach out further and do more damage with all of our early game spell cards for control. Or indeed, if we've got these in the mid game, it will help us control bigger things more mana efficiently. Our mana is going to go further, and these cards, by doing more damage with the spell damage on the table, are going to make sure that we can reach out and take out more threatening, more nasty minions more easily. Very good. The Violet Teacher ×2, so this is where, it's not quite a token deck this, but this can allow you to grab some tempo. You've got a lot of cheap spells. So throwing down a lot of cheap spells after the Violet Teacher can let you chip away at your opponent's face. If your opponent can't remove all of those 1/1s, they can just chip away, and if you've got 3 or 4 tokens doing 3 or 4 damage each go, that all adds up. And then of course, with your Tinker's Sharpsword Oil, it's another target for the Tinkers. If you buff a 1/1 to a 4/1, your opponent's going to take notice of that 4 attack, 1 health minion pretty fast, I tell you. So moving into the final piece of the game, we've got Gadgets and Auctioneer. Throw that down, and if we are not in a good position by this stage of the game, then hopefully the Gadgets and will help us get there. Throw down loads of cards, create a Gadgets and Miracle, lots of cheap spells, cast them, draw cards, get ourselves in a good position. And Sprint is also there for that reason as well. Drawing 4 cards. If we have to prep into Sprint to get ourselves in a win position, so be it. Can accelerate into a Sprint in the mid game as well. There's nothing wrong with prepping a Sprint for 4 mana and getting a whole host of cards to put the pressure on in the mid game. So this is going to be an interesting one. So that is the Havoc Rogue deck. So firstly, we have, as we always do on New Player Monday, we've gone through a bit about the deck, roughly how it should work. Now we're going to go to the second bit that we always really enjoy, and we're going to put it into action and see how it's going to work. So I'm going to start with this one in casual. We normally do ladder. I've been flying up and down between rank 10 and rank 9, so I'm going to play a couple of casual games so we can see how this deck works, and then if we're feeling brave we can jump into a ladder game at the end and see how it works in a competitive sense. And whenever you're trying a new deck, whenever you're net decking, tweaking decks, I would always recommend jumping to casual. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Just one thing, of course, we might be playing brand new players, we might be playing very experienced players, they might have a very, very strong deck that we know and love, they might have a really, really new deck with new cards. So what this will do is let us check how our deck is working, rather than necessarily give an indication of how it may work at a particular point in the ladder or a particular point in time. Okay, so we're playing a Hunter. Now, Mulligan's strategy for this deck, if you're suspecting any kind of aggression, fan and preparation are pretty good. Fan of Knives, I've got a preparation there, I've got a Fan of Knives, very nice, very nice. Aggro-wise, Mulligan, you can grab Backstab, SI7, Deadly Poison, Blade Flurry if you've got a poison. So nothing I really want to throw down. I'm not going to be coining into anything at this point. I've got to prep if I really need to throw down a fan. I'd like some spell damage, Saps will help me with removal. So I need to... Oh, it's a cool pet hunter, interesting. Draw a card, is it a pet? We will not know if it's a beast or not. Having a look at that. If it's a beast it costs 4 less. The real question is, did they get a beast? So I've got Deadly Poison, I've got the Earthen Ring Farseer. Remember what we said about chipping away, chipping and doing some damage. So down goes the bear, Ironfur Grizzly. Maybe that was it's not a bad card. I'm not going to say that's an indicator of a new player deck. There are lots of full pet beast decks that are kicking around. So Backstab will help us removal there. A weapon can come in. I'm not going to Deadly Poison just yet. I think I'm quite happy to go into a Backstab. That will help us with this removal. I can summon the weapon in. I can throw down my Earthen Ring Farseer to heal up next turn for some big trading. So, table under control so far. Shredder turn 4 very nasty, but remember we are controlling, and trying to set up our combo of goodness. So isn't this a wonderful example? Down goes the Blood Mage, that gives us a 3 damage backstab rather than 2. Got one more job done, in comes a Fairy Dragon, good, I'm quite happy we can deal with that. Coin wise, do I want to be coining into anything at this point in time? A Fan of Knives? 2 damage to all enemy minions and draw a card. Well, that will certainly give me the card draw. This is a bit hyper-aggressive, perhaps. I should really save that, but now that I can see the table being under a bit more control for me, may as well swing for another one as well. If I'm looking to get my Deadly Poison combo off, I probably don't want to be using the durability. I'm going to keep the durability on the weapon, obviously, so I've got it, so I can swing with it and then destroy. In comes a secret, in comes the destruction of the Blood Mage. The tracking, drawing the cards. Could be freezing, could be explosive. Goblin Auto Barber, weapon +1 attack. Very nice indeed. There's nothing too wrong with that. The Azure Drake is a great bridge at this point in time. First thing I'm going to do is see what this secret is. If it goes off, it's an explosive. Could be a freezing, could be a snipe as a result. I'll try and Azure Drake. If it's a snipe, this dies. There we go. Baited out the snipe there. Shame that we lost that actually. Could have thrown down the Farseer. as a less risky option, but I've got my card draw in there. So Goblin Auto Barber can still come out. I need to summon a new weapon.
To my side.
For incoming, Blood from Raptor incoming. Hey, that spell damaging wonder would have been quite nice right about now. And remember, I still need to keep things under control. So we've now got the Tinker's combo, but we are just lacking some of the minions right now. So remember, our option now is let us Goblin Auto Barber. That will let me remove things from the table. I can sap. I don't really want to do that. And Eviscerate will certainly let me rob that off the table. Do I want to be prepping? Played a card, so my combo is active. Let's remove the most nasty most quickly. A prep. Oh, I can't do the whole prep evil combo. I don't quite have the Blade Flurry at this point in time.
Here we go.
I'm going to go for that really. To keep yourself in the game, heal up with the Farseer, get a new weapon next turn. Feel that we're sort of there or thereabouts. So we need the Blade Flurry. That's going to be our combo. Don't want to wait for too long. I've got the table under reasonable control. Down goes a Snapjaw. We could see a Houndmaster after that. Out comes a Steady Shot. So remember that this is sort of a cool pet beastie looking deck, I think. So I've only had the Blade Flurry, but we have the option to Tinkers here. So firstly, throw this down, we can then prep. We can then Tinkers. There we go, and then it becomes 4-2, we can Deadly Poison. That becomes 6-2, and we're on 12, I can Deadly Poison again. It becomes 8-2. Now if I had the Blade Flurry, this would be super mega uber finish, as it were. As it is, there's sort of some room for a sap. Could have prepped again into that. And I'm just going to swing straight for face damage at this point in time, because next turn we have lethal, unless my opponent can heal or destroy one of these two cards. So we're playing, couldn't tell, maybe our opponents had a bad draw. I could still lose this, of course. Now I'm on quite low health. I've not been able to heal myself up with my Farseer. Down goes a Snapjaw. I'm expecting, if there's a Houndmaster, there we go. That's instantly caused us problems. Not going to be getting through that anytime soon. And if I had a sap, that's when the sap would have given me the win. So very important to note that. As it is, I cannot bust through that very easily, which is a tad frustrating. So I can trade 2 minions off the table for this. And you can see that Snapjaw has messed me up. If I had my sap, or maybe I should have saved my sap, that would have done the damage. So preparation, it's not really going to help me by summoning another minion. I may well need to prep into something else. So what do I do here? I can save the weapon, certainly. This will get probably traded off the table next turn anyway, so I'm going to get rid of that. The reason I'm saving this is in case I want to Blade Flurry, because that will do 8 damage to my opponent's face, as well as clearing all the minions off the table. All the beasts have charge, the animal companions, suddenly the beast mob comes out, beast mode, and note that I'm suddenly getting mass damage to the face. Blade Flurry would win me this match. So the real question is, are we going to draw a Blade Flurry? We're not. Am I going to lose? Yes, I'm going to lose. So there you go. For the lack of a Blade Flurry, this game is done. I can trade some of this off the table. But the fact is that next turn they're still going to be able to do 7 damage. I am not going to be able to reduce the amount of damage my opponent can do. So, alas and alack, even if I do all of this kind of shenanigans, I don't have my heal bot, of course. So that is that. Very, very kind. But that illustrated at least some of how this deck can work. We were a little bit tough on the draw. Did I make a few duff decisions? Maybe throwing down the heal a little bit earlier. Having that minion in the form of the Other Ring Farseer to do a bit more trading, that could have been pretty handy. A big welcome to Mouse Hunter and Zero Med joining us well, live on the stream. Okay, let's have a little look. My kingdom for a Blade Flurry, says Umber alive in chat. Indeed, my kingdom for a Blade Flurry. So So, what do we have? We have a priest. Well, we don't know what we really want to grab here. I'm guessing we just want to be... I don't know, I like an SI7. I'd quite like my early game control spells. I'm going to do a full mulligan for the early game control spells. I'm going to Shiv, that's alright. Fan of Knives, that's okay as well. And Blood Mage, really, really good. So that will give us that spell damage that we saw in the early game. Last game, that was really, really cool. Oh, I had a request to fire the cannon. But we're in next Ramish now, so all I can do is try and summon some sludge, some slood. And then slood. There you come. Destruction. Oh, a Voodoo Doctor goes down and restores me for some health. Happy birthday to Mouse Hunter. Sap will do some removal. A cheeky Shiv will draw a card. I see nothing wrong with throwing out a Shiv at this point in time. Into a Violet Teacher. Very nice. So if we can curve into that Violet Teacher. Could have also actually just summoned a weapon there to remove the Voodoo Doctor. Probably should have done that rather than using Shiv. It's worth pointing that out because the spell damage with Shiv could have been nicer for some bigger removal. Violet Teacher we have here. We have cheap spells in hand. Remember, Sap could have saved this last time if we'd drawn or saved it, I think. Okay, now remember the purpose. If there is nothing else on the table, then there is nothing wrong with a Shade of Nexus on the table. Mouse saying in chat on Twitch, I like the Oil Rogue deck. Yes, I've seen a few different ones. This is the version by Havoc, and he's using he's using Violet Teacher. But there are versions with Assassin's Blade, and Assassin's Blade, remember, that's a 3 attack, 4 durability weapon. Evil, 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 evil. You can just swing away and win with that. I'm actually quite tempted to give one of those a go. There is a big, fat sap target if I ever saw one in Tazdingo. Do we just want to sap him to hand? Probably. He will get thrown to the table again. Oh, double sap the Carnage and Agony. So do I try and get the Violet Teacher to sick, or do I just sap this straight away? I'm going to sap this right away. As a weapons deck, we'd quite like to have our weapon on the table. Fan of Knives will do 2. Maybe some trades will be possible. I'm going to get myself weaponed up, because the Blood Mage I can drop. Let's tap for 1. There is 1 sprint in here. Dr. Boom could be a nice late game swap. I'm not entirely sure about the gadgets, and I get the sort of additional card draw in late game, but this has been part of a legend run, so it's a good introduction to this sort of oil rogue, as you say, this sort of weapons rogue. I guess it's tempo in many forms. You're trying to swing the tempo in your favour. So let's see what our priest has in store. Tazdingo, or Chaz Dingle, the northern British variation. So the Violet Teacher can go down. I can just double sap for more awkwardness. It would be so cool if the Violet Teacher... We'll see some trading happening here. I've not taken any damage to face. I could go for a Fan of Knives trade, but I just want this to get so obscenely big I can just swing in for the win. Let's take a chance on the Violet Teacher, because that's going to go on the table again anyway. Or I can throw down the Violet Teacher and sap it back up to hand. Next go if I need to. I'm going to try a little Fan of Knives. No preparation, sadly. Tempted to make this trade. I'm going to risk leaving it there and see what happens. Of course, that's lovely, lovely. Mouse Hunter says, I don't use violets, but I have 2 heal bots and 2 Earthen Ring Farces. Very, very valid. Lots of heals in this deck, very nice. If I'd had a few heals hit my hand at the right time last game, it would have been a slightly different story. Out comes the lesser heal. Powered shield. Well, this is all well and good until I use my sap. Nice little eviscerate there that we can combo in. Violet Teacher into an eviscerate, that could be a nasty almost removal. Or we can just sap for great justice. Well, these powered shields are excellent for getting card draw, but of course we all know that because we got sap, the health benefit is not going to help. And of course we then see the removal. Sadly let's drop back down. Right, Blade Flurry. Okay, our combo is coming together. We need the Tinkers, we need the Similars to get all of that show on the road. So how do we get this from it? I think we go and have some fun and say, woohoo!
I'm ready to learn.
Pop that back up to hand again. It's not going to have the huge health it did. So, not quite sure what this priest is up to at the moment. Some interesting cards dropped so far. Nothing bad in what they've dropped. They're either struggling for cards or trying something new out. But for our deck, it's more in casual mode. We're focusing on how our deck's running and whether we're grabbing the cards that we want. So, all in here, we managed to get a Violet Teacher down. We started summoning some tokens. We're looking for Tinker's Sharpsword Oil. We're looking for Deadly Poison, and then that is really setting us up for a big flurry of goodness. We've got our lovely Shade of Naxxramas on the table. Shadow Word Pain, but it's a little crimp in our plans. But at least we've seen that removal got rid of. Down goes Chaz Dingle again. The Coronation Street tank. That's a very northern British reference for you. Righty then, so it is combo time. Sadly I don't have a preparation. That would be most awesome and good. So Blade Flurry is going to be helping us. I'm not going to have huge mega uber combo, most sadly. We've only got 5 worth of cards to play into, so I'm trying to work out where it's best to go from here. Fan of Knives, that will let us draw. Eviscerate. For a little bit of removals. Tinkers, maybe we can save the Tinkers, but the Tinkers would almost let us grab a little combo there. Don't need to heal up at this point in time. Could just unleash the Shade of Nax. Unleash the Nax. Right, can I get this removed? I can if I Blade Flurry. If I Fan of Knives into an Eviscerate, that will get rid of that. Yeah, let's go for that. Fan of Knives. Card draw is your Drake, that's a nice little drop. And then we've got combo for Eviscerate. A bit of chip damage, and we are sitting and waiting. We could very happily Tinkers next go and start the ball rolling. Tinkers would give us an additional +3, it would put 10 on the table if this isn't removed. We would then have an additional 4 from the weapon, and then make that 18 by Blade Flurry. So.
What you want?
Then goes a Frostwolf Grunt, probably playing a newish player here, but I said that when we saw the deck last time, and look how that turned out. We got a bit of a beating. Deadly Poison. Okay, let's unleash the combo in all of its glorious goodness. The Tinker's Sharpsword Oil hits the table. Now that goes Deadly Poison, and then adds yet more. Okay, we got ourselves to 6 there. Not quite the Titanic amounts I was expecting. So 2 options here. We could Blade Flurry straight up, or instead what I'm going to go for at this point in time is
this guy's toast.
a little bit of removal there. Going to tip into 1. So I can attack for 6, Blade Flurry for another 6 to 12, and then it will be a lot of damage. Heavy damage next turn. Should have attacked there. Missed out there. A little bit of a trade. Notice the Great Berserker. Down goes Taz Dingle as well again, but notice that my Blade Flurry is going to cause all kinds of manners of hurts. Now obviously Blade Flurry would be more effective, and this is why I should have attacked last go. I've missed out on 6 damage to my opponent's face, and that 6 damage I'd actually have to spend on attacking a minion now, so I'm one more blow away. 6 damage. I've effectively healed my opponent for 6 damage by not attacking them in that particular choice. However, very reassuring, of course, when a Shade of Naxxramas sits there and just starts chewing away. So, in order that we might see, this is not the droid I was looking for, but I don't really want to take the damage to my face, so I've missed out on doing 6 damage to my opponent. In comes a Blade Flurry. Huge removal away. Let's keep chipping away. I've missed a good chance to get myself 1 and good there. So, our opponent would be on 10 damage now if I'd swung when I thought I should have swung. So there you go. Make sure that you're swinging with your weapon when appropriate. You never know when a tank is going to pop up and spoil your day. So I've effectively lost, because I destroyed my weapon, I've lost 6 damage there. Learn from the mistakes that I make. Hopefully I do as well. Down goes a Silverback Patriarch. That makes me feel as though we can potentially swing in for some close to win damage next turn. Quite a new priest here, judging by the cards, but all very solid cards that this priest is playing. I wouldn't argue with any of the cards that they're playing here, given the basic or initial card selection. So, in comes a backstab. I like the effect of doing 4. That's very nice indeed. We've got this potentially just could have a Shadow of Death, but there we go. Oh, well played indeed.
Well played.
Okay, so that is our 2 trial games. We've got a bit of a sense of it. Just to finish up this episode, let's go crazy, let's live dangerously. It's Dr. Pepper. What is the worst that could happen? And then just jump on in and try it on the ladder. So I'm at rank 10 at the moment. I'm not going to be scaling the heights, not going to be ploughing the lows. So what is this deck? This deck against mid to mid-late game decks can do very nicely against rushing to make sure, or aggro, to make sure you've got a very particular set of events. We would very much like, in this situation... Okay, so we need some good removal. Prep is good, I like prep, I like eviscerate. I don't mind Blade Flurry, I'm going to trade that back for a sap or a backstab or similar. So we need to remove, and we need to hit them with the Tinker Blade Flurry or chip away at them with Violet Teacher. That is our plan. However, because we're going first, our plan is to hurry up and wait for the time being. Down goes a spider. So far, so shamanistic. I'm not going to be eviscerating a spider at this point. Feels like a good time to be weaponing. I could chip this out of the way. Remember, I've got Fan of Knives. That could be a nice little removal, of course. Next turn, against lots of goodness, lots of card draw. So I don't mind chipping away at this a bit, rather than be attacking straight to face. Down goes another creeper. Anyway, removing all of these. These get buffed up. It could get really irritating. So I can do some removing, not all the removing of course. 2 Fan of Knives would be very nice indeed. A prep is not going to hugely assist me at this point. I don't mind doing this. I'm a Fan of Knives. Let's get rid of some of the threat at least. Drawn into a Tinker, so I've got the weapon combo there, I've got Deadly Poison, 2 Eviscerates and 2 Preps. So if anything big is hitting the table, I'm stalling and stalling and stalling as much as I can. And then very much hope I can get my mid-game cards in. Zombie Chow, that's going to be healing me up, I'm happy to see that. Totemic Call, could be a Mech Shaman, mid-range Shaman's also doing the round at the moment as well. So let's keep our plan at hand. Do I want to be sapping any of this? Probably not. A prep Eviscerate feels big into a Zombie Chow at the moment, but I don't want the table to get too carried away with it. However, I don't want to be tinkersing either. So for this reason, when I have a Blade Flurry or a Fan of Knives, I'll bust down that Haunted Creeper. If I need the health back, I can work on that Zombie Chow. It still feels at the moment I can just hold off just a little bit. A Blade Flurry, Deadly Poison and Tinkers, I've got that combo together. If I can only get a sticky minion on the table that can do some goodness. Death by 1,000 chips at the moment, and the Mana Tide is something I really want to address this turn if possible. I'm going to be removing that Mana Tide for sure. Okie dokie. So I think that now is a good time to... I'm going to... do I Deadly Poison? I think not. Do I Sap? Then I'll just get played again anyway. These are too small, but do be a bit wary of Death by 1,000 cuts. If I have to spend a Deadly Poison to remove something, I will. I can this, and then this for 5. That will give me a Deadly Poisoned 1 damage weapon. And also, I'm going to step out a little bit. I'd rather not use a Deadly Poison in this way. But I can eviscerate the Mana Tide. I can attack that. That will give me a nice 5 heal as well. And if I really need, I can be Tinkersing, I can be Blade Flurrying for various removal too. And a big welcome to Stin, joining us live on stream. Welcome. Alrighty, more face damage. Down comes the Drake. Shiv dealing 1 damage and drawing a card and eviscerates. Okay, we have the options. Gadget Zan is not going to be helping us until I can throw down some stuff. I can Gadget Zan prep and start going a little bit crazy. In fact, that doesn't feel too bad. That does not feel too bad. Prep is here so that we can get good table position. So why not throw down a prep and an eviscerate and draw a couple of cards. We've got another Tinkers. I can remove this. It depends if I want to save myself up for a Blade Flurry. This is doing 1 at a time at the moment. I don't feel too compelled to remove that from the table. So far, so stalled. We've managed to keep our opponent under control, but we are looking to get ourselves nicely Violet Teachered up with lots of chippy minions. Or we want to be tinkering and Blade Flurry. In comes a Craggle, and odds are that's going to cause us pain. At least we've got the card draw in, and I do not like Flametongue Toto at all. I would very much like that to go away. It's a shame we don't have a Blade Flurry. Not enjoying that. Shiv is not going to be drawing us, it will be drawing us a card, but I cannot be punching through that just now. So the options are, if I sap it, it's going to get played again, but what it will do is sort of remove all of the nasty attackness, means that I can thin out the table, remove that taunt. The Violet Teacher feels that it needs to hit the table. I've got 2 saps. Sap will let me remove this for 0 damages. It's going to let me remove this, which is fine. Do I want to prep? I would rather prep into a Tinkers on the next go and set up my big weapon combo, but as a double Tinkers could be on the cards if I have a Blade Flurry. Still got control options, know that Flametongue may go down next go, and if you can hear snoring in the background, that's Shep. Can you hear that? Shep is sparked out. Shep is the household doge. 5 damage. The Craggles oranging like a beauty for this shaman, but Cracklers are a good card. Using the Goblins versus Gnomes, spell damage for 4 to 7 there, and finally my combo comes to life. So we summon the weapon. Let's just double check that I'm doing the right thing. I throw down a preparation. Remove this. Then I can tinker Sharpsword oil. And there's a lot of damage. And then I can. Don't want to double Tinkers. Let's double Tinkers. I'm just checking if double Tinkers is the right thing to do. I need more card draw actually. I'm going to get the card draw because I still need Deadly Poison. I can Deadly Poison and Tinkers. The Blade Flurry I just feel kind of has to happen at this point. I can Deadly Poison into a bigger Blade Flurry, but do I need that right now? My opponent's going to throw bigger cards out on the table. By this stage is when I should have kind of won or been close to winning, so it may be that this goes downhill if my opponent throws big things around, so I need to keep sap. I do have another Blade Flurry. This is going to be my last Deadly Poison. As a result, I think I'm going to attack face.
Here we go.
And then Blade Flurry. Still a bit new to this deck, so we're working it out together, but I've got the table clearance. I've still got a combo. I try and put a camera on Shep, but if I put a camera on Shep, he's going to wake up. I don't think we can capture this in all of its glory. And down come the nastiness, and see if I'd waited one more turn. Punching through this shaman's defences is going to be a little bit problematic. So, anti-killbot comes in. Hey, on the bright side I'm nicely healed up, but I've not been able to get that burst through that I was really looking for. So, a weapon into a Deadly Poison will help me start chipping away at these things. I think really that's going to have to happen. So let's start chipping away, and this is where I'm in trouble because this deck I've not managed to get my massive advantage with Violet Teacher. I've not been able to do my huge bursty combo with Blade Flurry, etc, etc. So it may be that alas in this ladder game we are strolling downwards towards rank 11. Okay, in comes the Doom Hammer. We are in troubles. That Doomhammer is going to be swinging. I've got another Blade Flurry, which is good. But you see, this is where Blade Flurry is frustrating. Even if I get myself all weaponed up and do the Blade Flurry, he's going to be low, but I'm not going to be able to. Let's do it for science. Now you can see, obviously, the frustrating here is that I don't have a target for that to stick to. Blade Flurry is just going to wreck the table, which is fine. 6 to my opponent, he's on 10, but I've not been able to charge up my minions. Both times when I've used Tinkers, I've not stuck the buff of Tinker's Sharpsword onto an actual minion. Now that +3 attack, if I'd got that on 2 minions, that would be potentially another 6 damage to my opponent, and this is where we are on a very narrow, thin line between victory and defeat. So remember, that's 6 damage. We've kind of potentially lost 6 damage, and even if our opponent removed those minions, it would have been using removal spells that would have been used on other things. Down goes Dr. Boom. We are in trouble. If this is not a loss, it is close to. Sure, I can sap this Dr. Boom, but that's only going to let him put more boom bots down on the table. Don't really have huge amounts of choice. If that dies, at least I get a card draw.
Turn to get ready. Here we go.
So you can see, as much as I chip away for 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, I'm trying to hit a well played here. So we find ourselves with double Dr. Boom, more boom bots. This is when I draw a fan of knives and everything goes crazy. Silencing a minion, dealing 1, I don't get a card draw even. And our mid-range Shaman is actually kind of nice against this rogue deck. It just keeps on putting pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure. You see that if I haven't drawn properly, not much I can do. So very nice meta-wise, this Shaman. Doing a good job in chewing through this kind of rogueness. Well, nothing else for it. Sprint! No, I'm not preparing, but alas, I'm probably dead next turn anyway. Yep. There's going to be a challenge there. I can auto-barber. There's no victory. There's no win to be had here. You can see I was close, but no cigar. Alas, no luck. Let's do a token backstab for fun. Attack something else for fun. Say well played. And alas, we are defeated. And that is our ladder game. So, that's a tough matchup for this deck. It's kind of in a nice mid sweet spot. Down to rank 11, try and get that back up. But that is it for our Hearthstone half hour this evening. We've taken a look at Havoc's Rogue, taken a look at it in casual, seen a little bit as to how it could work, and tried to play through it in a couple of casual games, and have a little look at how it could work, perhaps in a laddery situation. Interesting matchup, wasn't quite entirely sure. That being a sort of very tempo-y, mid-rangey Shaman deck was always going to be pressuring us in the early to mid-game, keeping a consistent level of pressure and tempo on. So potentially a tougher matchup, but remember, of course, I'm slightly new to that deck. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you're live, don't go away. We'll do some silent streaming of something for a short period of time. If you're on YouTube, come check us out, perhaps on Twitch sometime, twitch.tv/FelcraftCast, live Monday through Friday on the schedule in the bottom left, and we'll always tweet on that FelcraftCast when we're going to go live. If you're live with us, check out youtube.com/FelcraftCasts, whole bunch of videos there, Hearthstone half hours galore, lots of 2-minute deck guides, more new player Mondays such as this and more. And last but not least, the website, felcraft.org. Needs updating. It's updated a little bit more slowly, but other stuff there too. So if you're live, don't go away. If you're on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Hopefully see you soon.